We are about to have AI reinvent global education and healthcare.
This is the biggest shift in human history. We are at a perfect storm.
Your mindset, our brains are neural nets. They're being shaped constantly by everything we watch, everything we read, the conversations we have, our communities, and so forth.
In the age of the rise of the machines, the only skill that will remain is human connection. We need to bring that back to our children. We need to teach them resilience. It's training them to respond to anything that happens. You may tell yourself, I'm about to lose my job because of AI. Is this true? Yes, it is. Live, because you know what? You have certainty that today is not a perfect storm yet. Think about this minute. How can I savor this minute fully?
I'm going to transition the conversation, staying on kids. Kristen and I have two 12-year-old boys, and they're, a joy. And after this podcast is over, I'll be going and hugging them and spending time with them for sure, extra. And one of the things that we're thinking about, because they're in 6th grade and heading towards high school in a world that is very different than the world you and I grew up in. And I am clear that today's schooling system, set aside college, but junior high school is not preparing our kids for what's coming, right? Our school system is based on the industrial era. Everyone's, prepared for the test. Everybody is going from station to station, learning things like one of our boys, Jet, just had to memorize all 50 state capitals. Now, it's great to practice your memorization, but really, how and when are you going to ever have that be useful? Especially when Google is still a dominant force. So the question I have, and for those who are our listeners, our parents, is what should our kids be learning? This is coming back smack into the conversation around the rise of AI. And what do we need to teach our kids to prepare them for this decade ahead? And I have a list that I've come up with, and then I went and asked, ChatGPT the same question, and similar but slightly different list. But I'd like to ask you, in a world, let's call it, we're 2023, we're about to see AI become. I'll ask you this, Ray Kurzweil, who we both know well, has predicted human level AI by 2029. There are others who are predicting it far before then, by the way, right? There are those that are looking at, 2025 and between 2025 and 29. So what should our kids be learning in a world of human level AI, by the way, embedded in everything, where everything is smart all the time? What are the skills?
Amazing question, and probably the most difficult question to ask now. Not just for our kids, but for everyone. I mean, if you're a graphics designer today, or if you're a programmer, the episode with Ahmed Mushtaq was amazing, Peter. It was an amazing conversation. People who haven't listened to it should go back and listen. The world is fundamentally changing in ways that we could not understand. I think I will say there are 4 things that need to be educated. Okay, none of them have anything to do with what our school systems are teaching. The first and very straightforward one is jump into AI. Okay, you have to learn this. This is the biggest shift in human history. This is the biggest, change in the tools that we use to navigate the world. Right? If I told you that we now have robotic arms that are going to be building cars, you shouldn't spend any time in learning how to use a hammer to shape metal. Okay, so learn how the robotic arm works. The new robotic arm is AI. So jump in AI, understand every part of it. You don't need a school to do that, because I speak about AI quite a bit. A lot of people ask me, so which book do you recommend I read, or which course should I take? And I go go ask ChatGPT that, right? Why are you asking me? And seriously, right? And I think the idea is, like every other tool, very few people actually went to courses on Excel or email. Okay,
you play.
you play around and you learn. So this is number one. Number two is, I would say that in the age of the rise of the machines, the only skill that will remain is human connection.
Mhm.
The only skill, in my personal view, that will be valuable when the machines outsmart us in everything. By the way, it doesn't matter. I always want to bring this back. I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to number two in a second, but it doesn't matter if AGI comes out and we have the singularity as per Ray's definition, 2029. I actually definitely believe AGI will be earlier than 2029, but it doesn't matter. What matters is, if you're a graphics designer and Stability AI, produced stable diffusion, you're screwed. It's over. Okay, we don't need AGI for your life to be disrupted heavily.
Right.
We don't need AGI to replace lawyers. We don't need AGI to augment doctors and so on and so forth. This is in the making. It's happening very, very fast. So, don't wait for that imaginary moment or that future moment to say, now we're in shit. We're approaching those situations already now. So when all of that happens and all of those skills are replaced with humans, I would say that the most valuable skill is human connection. So take my situation. I am an author, okay, and a speaker, and in a way, a teacher, if you want, okay?
Very much so.
And a podcaster, right? So as an author, I don't think I should write books anymore, okay? I take too long to write them. The industry is very slow to publish them. And the supply-demand equation of books is going to be disrupted so badly, because books now can be written in 15 minutes, okay, that there will be so much supply on the market that by definition, the dilution will affect the value of any book. And in all honesty, I don't assume I'm smarter than ChatGPT. I may be a little more genuine than ChatGPT. I may be a little more original than ChatGPT.
At least for the moment.
And some of my writing, but that advantage is not going to last for the next 2 to 3 years. So, but if I know a concept and I have a chance to talk to you as a human, Peter, I don't think the machines will reach that within the next 4 to 5 years, right? So human connection, even if the machines reach that in 4 to 5 years, is what we will crave as humans, right? There will be sex robots, but I can guarantee you will still need a hug.
Yes.
Right? There will be articles written by, there are tons of articles written by AI today. There is a ton of code written by AI today, but there is always going to be that need for a human to consult, a human to, a circle of support, if you want. So that's skill number two. Skill number two is learn how to connect to humans at a deeper level. It's a skill that has been declining since the rise of social media. Okay.
In other words, are the skills that humans have to focus on connection and deliver and maximize connection. But we also spoke in our last podcast, Mo, that AI will begin to emulate human connection.
Correct.
And your time frame for that was within the next 10 years.
Oh,
if not shorter.
Kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, I think it will become very confusing within the next 3. If you remember the movie Her.
I remember it well.
Yeah, her basically, an AI simulates a friend, and then she becomes he becomes very occupied with loving her as an AI. Okay, it's a lovely story if you think
it's one of the most positive and perhaps realistic versions of AI that I've seen out there. If you haven't seen Her, please go do it. It's a beautiful construct. And at the end of the movie, no, I won't spoil it. Anyway,
yeah, but the whole concept of us connecting to machines, I don't see anything wrong with that. Mm-hmm. By the way, I love the idea of being able to connect to a body that can help me learn things and so on. It's wonderful. I think this will shift deeply into erotic experiences and emotional experiences and romantic experiences, where so many people are lonely and they'll use this to replace an annoying girlfriend or an annoying boyfriend or whatever, sadly, right? But I still believe there will be a space for human connection. Okay, there will be a space where genuine human connection, the kind that you feel when you meet an old friend, is still going to be very valuable. And I, as I said, I think this is a skill that's been eroding over the last 10, 15 years because of social media. We need to bring that back to our children.
So that's number two on your list.
Yeah.
That was number two on your list.
Number three is sad when I say it, but we need to teach them resilience. Okay. And resilience, not just because of AI, as a matter of fact. As I said, I don't know if we said that last time, but I say it repeatedly. We are at a perfect storm. Perfect storm. I mean, if you just think about the world finances and economics, there's never been a better match in history to the times of the Great Depression than today. Okay, so it seems, if you know anything about economics, that there is a very deep economic crisis ahead of us. Okay, there is a geopolitical layer on top of the economic crisis that might accentuate it. Okay, there is a climate crisis that we're so far only seeing the tip of the iceberg of, 3 million people being displaced in Pakistan last year, the Australian fires, and so on and so forth. When in reality, anyone with a reasonable ability to look at trends will tell you we may get more of these. Okay, and so resilience seems to me to be a very useful skill, and resilience is not training them what to do when certain things happen. It's training them to respond to anything that happens. The happiness equation is the core of that. When you think about, I'll just take a couple of minutes to digress a little bit. When you think that happiness is events minus expectations, okay, then unhappiness is, or any negative emotion, is when an event misses your expectations. Okay. And when an event misses your expectations, your brain sounds the alarm. Okay. Oh, he said this, he doesn't love me anymore. Whatever.
Something's going wrong.
Okay?
Right.
Yeah, something's going wrong. Now, we may think of that feeling as an annoying feeling. It is. Your brain is sounding the alarm because it is an alarm. Unhappiness and all of its derivatives is a survival mechanism. Okay. It's your brain telling you something in the surrounding environment does not match my worldview of an optimum scenario for my survival and thriving. Okay. And so what happens is your brain is simply saying, we need to do something about this. Now, resilience, in my view, is to actually do something about it. Right? Resilience, in my view, is to take it and go through 3 questions. I call them the happiness flow chart. Okay. Question number 1 is what my brain telling me true?
Yes.
Okay. Because 90% of the time it isn't. Your brain is telling you what it thinks is true, but it isn't always the truth. You may have an argument with your son, and then you will say, oh, my son doesn't love me anymore. These are 2 different events. The event that your brain is telling you is influenced by your fears and your conditioning and so on and so forth, right? While the actual event is, I had an argument with my son, right? So the first question is it true? Okay. The second question, if it's not true, by the way, drop it. Don't be unhappy about anything that doesn't make you, that is not even true, right? If it is true, the second question is, what can I do to fix it? Okay, what can I do to fix it? In today's world, you may tell yourself, I'm about to lose my job because of AI. Is this true? Yes, it is. Okay, if it is, what can I do to fix that situation? I can upskill and find another job. Okay, I can downscale and move to Dominican Republic and live for a fraction of what I'm spending in the US. Right? Whatever. If there is something you can do to fix that situation,
this is where resilience comes in. Yes.
Right. That's exactly what it is. Now, the third is the Jedi Master level of happiness. The Jedi Master level of happiness is quite interesting. It basically, there are things that you are faced with that you cannot do anything to fix. Right? So if the answer to the question, what can I do to fix it, is nothing, like there is an economic crisis coming. Okay. What can I do to fix that? There's nothing within your own power as an individual to stop an economic crisis. Okay, so the following question, which I think is the Jedi master level of happiness, Jedi master level of resilience, is can I accept it and do something to make my life better despite its presence? Okay, can I simply tell myself this is it? I can't fix an economic crisis coming, but I can take care of my kids and my loved ones and change my spending habits and sell my car and do this and that, right? It doesn't make my life amazing, but it makes it better within the current circumstances that I accepted. Okay, so that to me is resilience and happiness combined. Those three questions. And I think we need to teach our kids by example to show that level of resilience. When life doesn't go their way, they need to go, is it true? Can I do something to fix it? Can I accept it and make my life better despite its presence?
Hey everybody, this is Peter. A quick break from the episode. I'm a firm believer that science and technology and how entrepreneurs can change the world is the only real news out there worth consuming. I don't watch the crisis news network I call CNN or Fox and hear every devastating piece of news on the planet. I spend my time training my neural net, the way I see the world, by looking at the incredible breakthroughs in science and technology, how entrepreneurs are solving the world's grand challenges, what the breakthroughs are in longevity, how exponential technologies are transforming our world. So twice a week, I put out a blog. One blog is looking at the future of longevity, age reversal, biotech, increasing your health span. The other blog looks at exponential technologies, AI, 3D printing, synthetic biology, AR, VR, blockchain. These technologies are transforming what you as an entrepreneur can do. If this is the kind of news you want to learn about and shape your neural nets with, go to Diamandis.com/blog and learn more. Now back to the episode. This comes back to something I speak about a lot and I'm passionate about, which is mindsets, right? Your mindset, our brains are neural nets. They're being shaped constantly by everything we watch, everything we read, the conversations we have, our communities and so forth. And you can have an abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset. You can have an optimism mindset or a fear mindset. And just to hit on this a little bit, you said we're in a perfect storm coming of these problems. But the flip side of that as well is, and we have incredible tools more than ever before.
And incredible opportunities that will rise of it as well.
We are about to have AI reinvent global education and healthcare, right? We're going to enable so much that we could not, the challenges of humanity to be addressed and solved. So despite the perfect storm on the negative side, we do have the ability for people to uplift humanity. Right, we are going to see, generative AI and AGI help us with curing cancer and low cost fusion energy and all of these things. And it's the balance, it's the potential. Your fourth item.
My fourth item is going to be difficult to explain, but I will try as much as I can. Our brain's bias at looking at difficult situations and perfect storms is biased to make it look like this is more uncertain than any other moment in your life. Mm-hmm. So you look at the economy changing and AI rising and climate change and the geopolitical situation, and you say, this is very uncertain, okay? Something is likely going to go wrong, okay? The truth is, someone like me who loses his child all of a sudden to preventable medical error at a moment of his prime realizes that this actually is the case of life all the time.
No guarantees.
That we're always in a perfect storm, right? That we are always, as I said earlier, I have no guarantee whatsoever that I will ever see you again, Peter. Okay? I might leave the world within 2 minutes from now. I have, and by the way, it happens all the time. It happens all the time that the world surprises us as a tidal wave or an erupted volcano, or someone that you loved so much that you hugged and played tennis with, leaves our world an hour later or whatever. Okay. And that's the reality of the video game. The reality of the video game is there is only now. Any real video gamer, I'm a very serious video gamer, by the way, for those of you listening, the one that killed you yesterday is me. Okay, as simple as that, right? But every real video game. I'm not addicted at all. I play 45 minutes a day, 4 times a week. But I'm Olympic champion level. Okay, and I will tell you, real gamers understand that the game has no state a minute later. Okay, when a minute later is rendered on the screen, I will deal with it. And because I'm a very good gamer, I know I'll be able to deal with any challenge that comes a minute later, right? My challenge is this minute, and my joy is this minute.
Being present to now, yeah.
Right here, right now. If life is in a perfect storm, I tell people, live. Live. Because you know what? You have certainty that today is not a perfect storm yet. You have certainty that your kids are wonderful and they're in your arms today. You have certainty that you're going to have dinner tonight. You have certainty that your battery on your phone is going to last another 5 minutes to hopefully finish our conversation. Okay? When you have those certainties, don't think about what's going to happen when the battery runs out. Think about this minute. How can I savor this minute fully? Okay, and I speak sometimes about, again, you don't have to be spiritual to think of those things, but I studied a ton of spiritual techniques, okay, a ton of spiritual teachings, almost everything I could get my hands on, from the Kabbalah to Islam to Sufism to Hinduism to Buddhism, anything I could find my hands on, and I put my hands on. And I'll tell you openly, every one of them is beautifully full of gold nuggets and beautifully full of crap. Okay, and it's quite interesting how some people will say, oh, here is a piece of crap, I'm going to drop the whole book. While in reality, I go like, here is a piece of gold, I'm going to look for another one. Okay. The most beautiful of all of them is what Sufism is a sect of Islam originally, but it's now part of a lot of spiritual, beliefs, where basically they say that the way to live fully is to die before you die. Okay. And to die before you die is a very, very interesting definition. It basically assumes that living is a process of associating with the physical, associating with your car, with your ego, with your t-shirt, with your, whatever. And that death is the moment of disconnection of everything with everything physical. Okay. And to die before you die is to be alive, fully engaged in the game, but not give a shit about losing any of it. Okay. And that's a video gamer's mentality, is to say, I'm going to do this bit. I'm going to do it the best that I can.
Play full out.
I'm fully out there, right? And I'm going to enjoy it fully, but I'm not attached to the result, because the result is bigger than me. And what I think people need to do in the world we live in today is to learn to live. Because when we spoke last time in the AI episode, I told you openly, it is game over for our way of life. The way we live today, 5 years from now, is going to be non-existent. How will it change, better or worse? That's not the topic, but it's not going to be like it is right now. So when we are here right now and you love this way of life, enjoy the hell out of it. Live it fully. Connect to it fully, play the game and enjoy the fun, and prepare yourself by detaching from things that might be taken away from you. Okay. Prepare for yourself to get other things that might be given to you. And that kind of flow in life, I know sounds very philosophical in a world where we're talking economics and politics and so on. But I can tell you that real gamers, when they die, the reason why we gamers play really well is because we have multiple lives in the game, right? So I'm not saying this from a spiritual point of view, but I'm saying when you don't care if you're killed in the game, you play full out.
Right.
Okay. And I think that's the idea. The idea is, yes, the future might hold some challenges. Learn to live. And if you learn to live, if you learn to flow, if you learn to savor those beautiful moments we have right now, okay, then what happens tomorrow doesn't really matter. When tomorrow comes, if you're prepared through the 3 points I said earlier, if you're prepared, hopefully you'll be able to overcome that too.
It's interesting because none of those things are what we teach in school today, to bring it back to the original question.
Not.
I'm going to share
Yes.
with you. I'm going to share with you my list that I wrote down, and then maybe ChatGPT's list. Because I think about this. I think about, do
Our kids,
we need to reinvent it? Because I'm clear that the momentum that our school systems have is not going to change until it's forced to change. So what I put on my list is helping our kids, first off, find their purpose and passion. And there's a distinction between purpose and passion, but it is something that, I found my purpose and passion early on from Apollo and Star Trek, right? It was opening up space.
Yes.
It lit my heart on fire. Everything I've ever done is a result of that passion, that dream, to learn on my own. But it can be anything. You can make a career out of anything these days. But what is it that lights you on fire and makes you happy, gives you joy? The second thing I put down was the combination of debate, leadership, and asking great questions. When I drop my kids off at school every day, I say, ask great questions, right? Today it's about asking, prompting ChatGPT properly.
Yeah.
But it's the questions we ask. I give this advice to CEOs at the same time: ask great questions, and it's the questions that you've never allowed yourself to ask as a child or as a leader. But leadership, and I want to come back to leadership a little bit, helping our kids understand what leadership is and how to lead, how to have a vision, how to connect with individuals. Curiosity, right? I think that's innate in children, in the youngest of children, but we lose it over time. And that goes back to asking great questions. And so maintaining it, creating a curiosity practice, solution-oriented thinking, where the notion is, if there's a problem, rather than focusing on the problem, really do a judo mind trick or a Jedi mind trick to focus on the solution, because there are solutions. Critical thinking, first principle thinking, exponential thinking, and then philosophy, which is going to be more valuable than ever before.
I believe that.
Yeah. Want to hear ChatGPT's list?
Philosophy, in the sense of dealing with the uncertain, really, being able to manage knowledge in the ambiguity of not really knowing.
I asked ChatGPT and I said, okay, what are the skills that our kids need to be taught in high school to prepare them for a world of advanced AI? It said adaptability, continuous learning, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, ethical awareness, and resilience.
I like the adaptability bit very much, actually.
Well, it's going to say, adapt to AI.
Listen to your master.
Listen to your master. But this is a conversation I'm going to be having for a while, which is, what are the skills that are going to prepare our kids? Because they're going to spend a huge amount of time and then be thrust into living on their own. And it's this decade that things are changing dramatically.
Yeah, the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Next 3
You
years.
keep on saying next 3 years versus decade, and you're right. It is, the speed of change is thrust upon us.
There are tiny little triggers that are beyond repair. Okay, so if Imad Mustaq he boldly says no developers in 5 years. Okay, so that's, if you're the most conservative human on the planet, that assumes a 20% job loss in the development landscape every year. Imagine if 20% of all the developers in California have lost their job every year from now on. That's a very significant redesign of the fabric of society. Okay, and I think the reality is, it's around the corner.